Welcome to Metal Weekly, the series where we bring you some of the latest releases you may have missed from the previous week. Now, let's get it off straight away. This week has been fucking fantastic. So many good albums has released on April the 24th. There's just been a barrage of amazing releases. And not just that, loads of good singles has been released from like Lamb of God, Paradise Lost, and my personal favourite song from the past week, Tortuga! Now, before we get started with the actual albums that I'm going to talk about, put your favourites in the comments below. I want to see what you guys had as the best album of the week, what you guys explored, some new albums that you found out. Fight it in the comments below, argue for your favourite album, but no biting. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the first album, and it's from one of my favourite bands of all time. And that is Katatonia. So Katatonia just released City Burials on Peaceful Records on April the 24th. So yeah, City Burials, super stoked for this album, super hyped. Let's hear how it played out. The road to the grave is straight as an arrow. I'm just staying around to sing your song, baby. So the Masters of Melancholy are back. This album is more experimental, it's more electronic, but also way fucking heavier than anything they've ever done, but it still keeps that depressing, somber attitude that you know and love from Katatonia. So this is an album which is pure perfection. I wanted to do a review on it, I really did, but I only just reviewed Orsök, which is another amazing album which came out April 24th, and I give it a 10 out of 10. And I'm not changing my score, it's still a 10, but this is also a fucking 10. This is beautiful. I fucking adore this album. Every song is so different to every other Katatonia song they've ever done. So different. Even the single, like Lacquer, there was no guitar, there was no drums, it was just like a trap beat, and then just his beautiful singing on top. And it came to be one of my favourite singles of the year, so absolutely love the experimentation on this album. The songs, there's so many solos in some of these songs, which you don't really get with Katatonia a whole lot, so the guitar playing is just astronomical. Every song is beautifully somber, but also heavy as fuck. The standout track, though, for me, is probably Neon Epitaph. Oh, this feels funky. It feels like a Tool song. This fits right at home with all the other Katatonia albums, but it has its own identity, and for that, that's a hard thing to fucking do. That's a hard thing to do, so it's a 10. City Burials is perfect. Speaking of perfect albums, speaking of 10s, because April the 24th is just littered with them, Orsök, Katatonia, and this next one is also a fucking 10. Elder, with the album Omens, out now on Stickman Records. Give a listen. Now this one is a lot different to the other two. You know, Orsök, atmospheric black, Katatonia kind of gothic-y doomy, and then this, pure fucking prog, and it's magnificent. The shortest song is 9 minutes 21. That's all you need to say. That's all you need to say. If you love long songs, if you love epics, if you love intricate melodies, amazing guitar solos, just atmosphere out the ass, you will adore this album, just like I did. This is frontrunner for one of the albums of the year for me. And it is a toss-up between three that came out on this fucking day, April the 24th. What is going on? Like, these three are three of my albums of the year. And this one may be the fucking top. Because I adored the last album. 2017, Reflections of a Floating World, I think that's what it's called, was my favourite album from 2017. I adore it, and I still listen to it today. This one could be on track to being a similar kind of magnificent beast, so to say. All the songs on here, they all have personality, they all have flair. The vocals are so unique. It kind of feels like, if I was going to compare the band to someone, it'd be like Baroness. Similar sound to Baroness, but better, because it's prog, and the songs are like way longer, way more solos, way more soul. Oh, I love it. I adore it. I could talk all day about this album, I could talk all day about Katatonia, but we got more albums to get through, so just know, if you love prog, if you love prog rock, if you love prog metal, give Elder Omens a fucking listen. Next up, something completely different, And something, again, which is fantastic, this is for all you thrash cunts out there, Warbringer just released their latest album, Weapons of Tomorrow, out now on Napalm Records. Take a listen. Now, this album isn't just your run-of-the-mill thrash album. It has proggy sections. There's 3 7-minute songs on here. It's got blackened vocals. So it's not just boring fucking thrash. It's blackened vocals, proggy sections, amazing melodies. And this album gets an extra point because there's a song about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is one of my favourite Disney films. And if you say otherwise, you talk shit about the Hunchback, get the fuck out. The King of Fools is a magnificent song. There's so many magnificent songs on here, but that one stands out just because, you know, it's about Hunchback. And the vocal delivery he gives on this song, especially, when he's maniacally laughing, he's like, ha 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 ha, fool! It's perfect. Delivery is perfect, and that's not just the only song which is perfect. The 7-minute songs on here, especially the closing track, Glorious End. Like, the lyrical content on this song beats anything else this year, to be honest, for me. This album feels more in the vein of Master of Puppets, like an eviler, thrashier version of Master of Puppets. If that sounds good to you, give this album a fucking listen, because I didn't hear about these guys until I checked out the new album, and now I'm a big fan, because this is really interesting thrash. I love thrash with a bit of spice, you know? I love Vector, because it's prog thrash. I love Midnight, because it was like black and dark thrash, and Skeleton Witch for the same reason. This is a similar vein, but more proggy-esque, I want to say. More like Metallica, old Metallica, not the new shit. If you love old Metallica, give Warbringer a fucking listen. And getting back to Glorious End, those goddamn lyrics. He's like excited for war, he wants to do his father proud, but then by the end of the song, it goes slower, more melodic, and he's dying from mustard gas. And he's like grasping at his throat when he says, "Tell me, father, have you lied? Is this a way for a soldier to die?" Oh, it was perfect. Goosebumps. Goosebumps at the end section. Amazing album from start to finish, fucking 9 out of 10. Beautiful fucking album. Coming in next, we have Cirith Ungol with their album Forever Black on Metal Blade Records. Take a listen. Now, this one is for all you old school heavy metal fans, and this is a fucking fantastic record. You know, it's been a long time since the last one. The last album was 1991, which is a big goddamn gap, but I'm happy to report they have not lost their sound a single bit. They sound exactly like they did from the very first album, and sometimes people want change, but other times it's good to stick to your roots. Stay true to yourself, and this sounds like an album from that era, and I love it for that. I love it for that authenticity. I adore this album. King of the Dead, still a masterpiece today. This one goes toe-to-toe with it. This one goes toe-to-toe with it. It goes toe-to-toe with all the classics. There's not a lot of bands which can do that. There isn't. A lot of the bands from that era, they try and release new music, and it doesn't quite match that caliber, but Seraph have managed to fucking do it. You know, Seraph have managed to do it. The vocals are just as epic. The guitar solos are just as good. The production just feels like you've stepped in a time machine. It feels like you've stepped in a time machine, and you've gone back to an amazing era of just awesome heavy metal. This is fantastic. I highly recommend Forever Black. My favourite track would probably be Frostmourne. That vocal delivery and the riff in Frostmourne. Oh, the riff is catchy as hell. Love this album. Another great one to check out. Next up, we got some black metal for you. I'm super excited to talk about more black metal. We got the band Helfró with the album Helfró. Check it out. play some black metal. And what's with all the eyeballs on black metal album covers? First it was Cosmic Terror with a planet as an eyeball, and now it's Helfró with a cathedral with an eyeball in. But keep an eye out for this band. Because this debut is magnificent. The vocals incorporate both the high shrieks, the low growls. The drumming is fast and furious, Tokyo Drift. The guitar is melodic, but also furious, just like I said. Everything is just a perfect melodic-y black metal album, but I say melodic black metal, but more in the veins of Dissection, rather than some newer, it's not a Dimmu, it's a Dissection. This album is more like Dissection. So if you love that kind of music, you love that kind of black metal, you would fucking love this. I'm not going to butcher any of the titles of the songs, because they're all in foreign language and I have no idea how to pronounce them. I can't even pronounce English sometimes. But my favourite, the standout track, would have to be the second song, because there's some kind of behemoth-esque chant throughout, which complements the evil music. Complements it really well, so yeah, dig that one. But I also dig the start. The very first track kicks you right into gear, so you know what you're having. You know what you're in for, and it's a good, evil time. Next up, we have Nyrst with the album Orsök. Hopefully I said that right. On Dark Essence Records, out now. Let's give it a listen. Now this album is more atmospheric than the previous record, the Helfró record. It is more atmospheric, but it does not compromise the evilness. It doesn't, take the atmosphere but then remove some of the evilness from. No. This has both in spades. There's long ass tracks on here, but it's not long in the sense of it's not folky atmospheric. It's not like Seol or some of those other bands, which I love, but it's not in the vein of them. It's more in the vein of Mare Cognitum, Spectral Law, that kind of atmospheric black metal. But the screaming in this one, the screaming is more harrowing. It feels pain. The screaming is absolutely fantastic on this record. I adore the screaming. So if you want an album to just chill in the darkness to, like an isolation vampire, then this is your fucking album. Now finally, probably the biggest release to come out on April the 24th, that's Trivium, with the album What the Dead Men Say on Roadrunner Records. So, let's take a listen.
What the dead men say, it's just between us. What the dead men say, you can't let go. What the dead men say.
Yeah, it's alright. So that does it for Metal Weekly this week. Hopefully you had a good time. Alright, okay. I'll talk about the album. Let's talk about the album. Now this one is for all you fans of metalcore or heavy metal or whatever Trivium is classed as. Tell me in the comments, what is Trivium? What the genre is? Because I always thought it was metalcore, but I don't know anymore. It could just be heavy metal. So fight in the comments about that as well. But yeah, they just released What the Dead Men Say. It is a good record. I wouldn't say it's as good as any of the ones that I just mentioned, but it is still a good record. It follows on from Sin in the Sentence, which I really enjoyed. It was kind of like a new, putting new life into Trivium after, Silence in the Snow and stuff, which wasn't that good. Sin in the Sentence was fucking awesome, breathing new life into them, it's fresh, it was like, whoa. This just follows on from that. It's nothing really special. It's the same old, same old. If you like Sin in the Sentence, you'll like this. If you liked old Trivium, you'll like this. It's a good record. All the songs are good. Probably the standout for me would be one of the singles, Amongst the Shadows and the Stone, because of how heavy, how intense it is. I love that. It's super fucking heavy, that song. So that's one of the standouts for me. And the title track is catchy. What the Dead Men Say. It's catchy. It's good. However, on the flip side, Bleeding to Me is a fucking abomination's abortion. It should win an AVN award for how many dicks it sucks. That's how fucking much I hate that song. Fucking atrocious. Sorry, what I meant to say was, that song isn't really my cup of tea, per se. I'm not really into ballady songs, and just the melody and the chorus really irks me. That's what I meant to say. Yeah? That's what I meant to say. But yeah, no, if you like metalcore, if you like old Trivium, you'll like this album, so give it a listen. You know, it's a fine album. It's a good album. It's just, I prefer all the other ones I talked about. That's all I'm going to say. It'll probably end up being one of your favourites of the year, probably if you like that kind of music. So, knock yourselves out. Now that really does do it for today's episode of Metal Weekly. Hopefully you had some fun. Hopefully you found some albums to enjoy. Let me know in the comments if you did. Let me know in the comments what your favourite is again. And pit it out against each other. So yeah, we hope you had a good time, and we'll see you again on another Metal Weekly.